Squid Game. We all know whether or not we hate it is entirely up for debate. You can't go on the internet without seeing the cephalopod circus everywhere you go. It doesn't even have anything to do with squids. What's up with that?
What is this, some kind of magic gun?
I mean, the majority of media you see of Squid Game doesn't even have anything to do with the show either. It's all just cookie with object this, the doll shooting people that. It completely misses the point of the show. How did we get from social commentary about entrepreneurs desperately trying to survive in Korea to YouTube kids' TikTok schlop? I, luckily enough, have prepared the rest of this video for you to enjoy to explain just that. You can thank me later. Squid Game was initially written in 2009 by Hwang Dong-hyuk as a metaphor for his financial troubles in his early adult years and the class disparity in Korea. The 9-episode-long show is about 456 players who are in crippling debt getting themselves killed in deranged versions of kids' games to win loads of moolah. It went around for 10 years because no one had the guts to film this sort of stuff until Netflix picked it up.
Hey, Spongebob!
And even that is just because their public image is already 6 feet under already. It aired on Netflix on September 17, 2021, becoming a massive worldwide hit and being Netflix's #1 watched series to date. But when things get popular, people ruin it in mere seconds. Okay, this is where stuff starts to get out of hand. As with every popular thing, it eventually winds up on TikTok. If a bunch of people watch something, they make stuff on TikTok about it. See, making stuff on TikTok is more like a toy in essence than an actual production. Because of this, something dreadful begins to happen. A trend. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill directly into a Waffle House. It starts out with fan product being made for It starts out with fan content being made out of genuine love for the product. People see this, consume the product, and begin to make new content centered around said product. But if it gets real popular, the trend materializes. See, TikTok has a silly little feature about it. Not one that's built in, but one originating in its viewer base back from its most primordial beginnings. The MAS, Massive Age Spectrum. Back when Musical.ly was still Musical.ly, it was mainly just minors doing edgy junk they thought was cool. This stuff probably keeps them up at night when they're adults because they remember how embarrassing this stuff was. Then, Musical.ly was bought out and became the TikTok we all know and hate today. Now, while Musical.ly was just mainly mimicking the words to a song like you were singing it, TikTok is anything in a short time frame. Kinda like Fine without a soul. During the big switch from Musical.ly to TikTok, TikTok was still dominated like minors like it was beforehand. But then, a bunch of grown men invaded TikTok valiantly and started making fun of the children on the platform because they thought it was funny and they had no lives. Eventually, they ended up actually liking the platform and showing it to their other adult friends, thus adding a more mature side to the platform. Not like that, I mean. Eventually, said moody teenagers began to grow up but still kept on using TikTok, and other people their age replaced them in their spot, completing the circle of life in the MAS. Because of this, loads of people watched Squid Game, including but not limited to adults, teenagers, and children. And of course, this spread through the ways we already discussed about earlier. People saw this, some people who shouldn't have saw this. These people began watering down Squid Game for their TikToks until it became a parody of a parody of a parody in the name of their own 15 minutes of fame. This is the beginning of Squid Game being dumbed down into nothingness. This is the beginning of the end! Necrosis is a medical condition where cells or tissue die through disease or injury, causing the victim to rot while they are still alive. This is a pretty good metaphor for what is going down with Squid Game at this point. This is where Squid Game began to go down the dark, ill-fated path of appropriation that Friday Night Funkin' and other lost souls went down all those years ago. There is a small bit of fan passion still lasting during this time, but it is beginning to slip away like a sandcastle in the tide. Also, there's actual cultural appropriation going on at this point. The soulless mockery Squid Game has been turned into usually contains one of these characteristics. The pink soldiers, the competitor suits, and at least one of the minigames for the main series. That's all they need to lather on the screen like a piece of candy to attract the kids and get boatloads of those sweet, sweet views. And the best examples of these are the Roblox games. Okay, now don't get me wrong here. This stuff is being dumbed down pretty much everywhere on the internet at this point, but Roblox is probably the biggest player during this time. Of course, a lot of this could have been predicted beforehand. A lot of Roblox affairs recently have been trend-based. You can't even go 2 minutes on Ninja Divorce Simulator without seeing some chump dressed up as a Friday Night Funkin' character. Of course, nothing is just from one factor. Squid Game fitted perfectly into standard Roblox game formulas. Most pre-existing games just added in that dang doll or some Squid Game loot box in there somewhere to cash in on what TikTok started. The more lower quality games usually just take one mini-game from Squid Game, throw in some microtransactions, and call it a day. And the real big shot games take you through every single piece of Squid Game story without any of the characters or drama that made the series good, in the form of a Roblox story game. For those of you who don't know what a Roblox story game is, they usually follow this formula. A group of players is sent through a gauntlet of challenges, and whoever manages to survive long enough to get to the end wins. That's practically the plot of Squid Game, so I don't think I need to spell things out for you. Now, in order for you to understand the sheer extent of all of this, you need to see it for yourself. And I, in all my generosity, will gladly show it to you. Roll the clip.
What is this, some kind of magic gun?
This is it. This is as bad as it gets. Squid Game is completely ruined. The degeneration and appropriation in the name of clout and greed has finally broken it down into nothingness. It has reached rock bottom. It has reached YouTube Kids. Remember how I said Roblox was the best example during Necrosis? It's because of this. Roblox did this to us. Do you know how many little Timmies are on that flippin' site with the crusty iPads? With how massive Squid Game is on Roblox, of course kids were gonna get to it. That and YouTube Kids itself. See, these are made like an algorithm. They just take whatever's popular and smash it together with the worst animation I've ever seen. Once again, Friday Night Funkin' has gone through a similar fate, with Squid Game being as popular as it is. No wonder this happened to it. It's a twisted sense of irony with how a show calling out capitalistic greed's harm to the population getting bastardized for clicks. Feels like satire. But here it is, invading our psyche and ripping off our eyelids so we have no choice but to watch it as the blood drops down and freezes our eyes shut, with the only thing us ever being able to see is the Squid Game doll that was burned into our psyche years ago as we scream into the void, yet no one responds. Okay, this was just sad. Some guy finally makes it big with a TV show about serious political issues, only for his creation to be torn apart by a bunch of opportunistic cloud-chasing jerks, as our senses are slowly wiped away with the doom rectangle until we can't sit still for more than 2 seconds. 'Tis the nature of the internet, I guess. Almost everyone wants money and their own 15 minutes of sweet, juicy fame coursing through their blood-stained hands. The internet is a great cradle for such things. Such dreadful things. But it's mainly just children. Children got to it and burned it to the ground with their terrible animation memes.
We heard you, boy. Time to pay.
No, I ain't dying today. Wait a second. That'll scare off those stupid kids. Pasta Fazool, I am a fool.